Hi. So in previous session we have discussed about the arboviruses, and now we will take a couple of example about the arboviruses, and we will discuss in little more detail about those arbovirus and the disease caused by that arbovirus. So in this session we will take the dengue virus, okay, which caused dengue. Okay. So here I would like to show you the statistic of dengue. Here you can see that it is severely affecting various part of the world, and particularly our country. Okay, here you can see that in India every part is having this dengue virus infection. Okay, if you see this image, then you can understand that this virus or this viral infection is prominent near the equator region. Okay. So, you can understand why there is a this disease is dominant near the equator region. You can understand that over there is a little higher temperature, which is a very good breeding factory for these arthropods. Okay. If you go up, then the temperature is very low, and there is almost no cases of dengue virus infection. Okay. And more interestingly, this infection, this dengue incidences are increasing with the years. Here you can see this graph. So, the number of cases or number of this reported cases are increasing with the year. It is here I am showing you the statistic up to 2012. Okay. And this is increasing in America, in Asia, Oceania, and Africa. Okay. So, over there you can see in Asia also there is a quite good rise in number of dengue infection, dengue, chikungunya, and all those things. So, this you can understand the season for this disease is when the temperature is not very high, not very low. At that time these mosquitoes are very active, and generally this occurs immediately after the monsoon. Okay, in India is particularly I am talking about. After a monsoon, these mosquitoes breed a lot, and then they infect the individual. Okay. So, this is important thing to note. Okay. So, how this virus looks like and what kind of things it has, let us look at. So, the dengue virus are member of the flavivirus family. Okay. Flaviviridae family basically, and its genus is Flavivirus, and the family is Flaviviridae. Okay, Flaviviridae is the family. The dengue virus contain single stranded positive sense RNA genome. Okay, it may cause a full spectrum of clinical manifestation followed by dengue infection, which is ranging from asymptomatic. So, many people are not showing any symptom, and this is true when there is a first infection. Okay. When there is a first infection, then in general the individual show very mild symptom. Okay. And when there is a second or subsequent infection with a little deviated or different strain, then that result to the severity. Okay. And this severity you can defined as a dengue fever, okay, dengue hemorrhagic fever, and dengue shock syndrome. Okay. And these condition, particularly dengue hemorrhagic fever and dengue shock syndrome, can cause the fatality. Okay. So, this is quite dangerous. Okay. So, here you can see that how the mosquito looks like. The dengue is spread by this Aedes aegypti, okay, and this is the main vector for dengue virus transmission to human. Okay. There is another species also, Aedes albopictus. This can also transmit the virus. Okay. About 1 of 4 people infected with dengue will get sick, and about 1 in 20 who get sick with dengue will develop severe dengue symptoms. Okay. Severe dengue can result in shock, internal bleeding like hemorrhage. Okay. That's why we call it as a dengue hemorrhagic fever. Okay. There will be internal bleeding, and if it is not managed, if the patient is not receiving appropriate support, healthcare support, then that may result to the death of individual. It's a very fatal, okay, very dangerous. Okay. Transmission of this dengue viruses are basically, in general, this dengue virus is uh, transmitted from human to mosquito and mosquito to human. This cycle is predominant. People has a little evidences that there is sylvatic transfer of the virus. Basically, this Aedes mosquito infect a non-human primate, and over there this will be in cycle. The number will increase, then mosquito will infect, then this primate will again infect. This is one cycle. Basically, this cycle maintains the viruses. Okay. Generally, those primates are not severely affected. Okay. But they are the reservoir and they can provide the virus to. So, for example, this mosquito, if it will jump or if it will bite to the human, then that will be in human circulation. Okay. So, the involvement of this pathway is this syllatic or enzymatic cycle is not very prominent in case of dengue. There is a few evidences, but it is not very prominent for the dengue viruses. Okay. Basically, this virus is maintained by human to mosquito to human cycle, okay, of transmission. There are different stages of dengue fever. Here I will discuss that. So, there is a dengue fever which is basically characterized by febrile illness with 2 or more of following symptoms. Okay. That is some individuals show severe headache, some individuals show retroorbital pain, okay, near eye region. Okay. Some individuals show the myalgia and arthralgia. Myalgia is basically a muscle pain. Okay. Myalgia is, we call it as a myalgia as a muscle pain. Arthralgia is the joint pain. Okay. The meaning of dengue itself is a bone breaking fever. So, this is the literal meaning of dengue. Okay. There will be a rashes, there will be a leukopenia, reduced number of white blood cells. There will be a hemorrhagic symptom, hemorrhagic manifestation. Okay. And virus, one can recover the virus. Serological responses or temporal occurrence with other cases. Okay. So, these are the characteristic of dengue fever. Okay. And it is associated with 1 or 2 or more these symptoms. Okay. Here you can see that there is a different grades of dengue hemorrhagic fever. Here you can see that grade 1, 2, 3 and 4. So, basically grade 1 is included that there will be a fever for 2 to 7 days. There will be a petechia. Petechia is nothing, it is a, there will be appearance of red spot or dot over the skin, okay, red or dark brown. Basically this spot is due to internal bleeding, okay. There is a bruising, okay, and there is a some test, tourniquet test. So, this test is basically the doctor perform in order to find out the capillary fragility, okay. So, you can understand these capillaries are quite fragile when there is a dengue virus infection, because they this virus infect the endothelium of these blood vessels, okay. So, if it is a severely damaged, then these capillaries or blood vessels will be more fragile, okay. So, there is a test, this is a more clinical component, okay. Grade 1 is also characterized by increased blood vascular permeability. There will be a thrombocytopenia. So, there will be a reduced number of blood platelets, okay. The grade 2 is characterized by, this is a other hemorrhagic manifestation, rising in hematocrit, okay, hyperproteinemia. There will be a reduced amount of protein in serous effusion. So, this is the characteristic of grade 2. Grade 3 is a hypovolemic. There is a reduced volume of the blood in the individual, okay, which is associated with weak pulse and hypotension, okay, and there could be a possibility of coagulopathy, okay. So, grade 4, which is more risky and dangerous, is characterized by severe bleeding, okay. There will be a quite a lot of bleeding. Even if individual will pass the stool, that will be a very dark color because of blood, okay. Because there is a lot of internal bleeding, and that internal bleeding is resulting to the black stool. There will be a profound shock. There will be a severe hypotension condition. Pulses will be very weak. Heart beats will be also slow, okay. And there will be a disseminated intravascular coagulopathy, okay. You can understand there is a reduced number of thrombocyte, and all this result to the this disseminated intravascular coagulopathy, okay, which is quite a complicated situation, okay. And this situation is basically managed in the in a critical care wards, okay, like intensive care unit, okay. Here I will tell more about the dengue shock syndrome, which is basically rapid and weak pulse and narrow pulse pressure, or manifestation of hypotension, cold, clammy skin and restlessness. Clammy skin is nothing, it is a, there will be a sweat, or the skin will be wet, okay. In that condition we call it as a clammy skin, okay. Restless, you can understand, in Hindi we call it as a bechani. The individual will be this thing, restless, okay. And here you can see the time course of these symptoms, okay. Initially it is started with fever, okay, some headache. Initially the first symptom will be, there will be some headache or pain, and then that will be accompanied with fever, and with time there will be a appearance of rashes, mainly hand, legs and this trunk, okay. in front side or back side. Okay. And generally the things are managed over there, but if it is not managed, then that individual may enter in the dengue hemorrhagic fever condition or dengue shock syndrome condition, which is consists of this is a patchy, bruising, thrombocytopenia and the shock. So, shock is a more complicated situation. Okay. There are different serotypes of dengue. Here there is some very important point which you need to understand. So, based on neutralization assay, there are 4 genetically similar but antigenically distinct serotypes of dengue is there, okay, which we name it as a dengue 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Infection with one serotype of dengue confer basically lifetime immunity against that serotype, but not against heterologous or other serotypes. For example, if individual is infected with dengue 3, so that individual will have a lifetime immunity against the dengue 3. But if individual is infected with the same individual is infected with say dengue 1, 2 or 4, then that is a more complicated situation. Okay. Why? Because second infection with heterologous serotype can result or lead to severe complication that will cause more severity, like dengue hemorrhagic fever, dengue shock syndrome, and due to the process of due to one phenomena which we call it as a antibody dependent enhancement, which I have mentioned in previous session. Okay. So, what is this antibody dependent enhancement? Here there is the individual is having for example, individual is infected, first time it is infected by dengue 3, okay, and now second time it is infected with dengue 1, 2 or 4, okay. So, the individual will be having the antibodies against dengue 3, and this antibody is weakly binding with the dengue 1 if it individual is second time infected with 1 or 2 or 4. Okay. So, you know that once this antibody binds with this this virus, then there will be a FC receptor over the phagocytic cells or immune cells, okay, and then it will be phagocytosed or it will be taken care by the complements and so on and so forth. Okay. But here what it is doing, once it is attaching with the antibody, it is facilitating its infection to the immune cells, like macrophages, which is a myeloid origin. It can facilitate multiplication in lymphoid origin cells. Okay. So, after attaching, it is very readily entering in the target cell, and over there, instead of it is digested and cleared, it is basically using this facility to infect the cell more and increase more replication, and that result to the very high viral load, okay, and that result to the dengue hemorrhagic fever and dengue shock syndrome condition. Okay. I hope you understand this thing very well, and that result to more complicated disease. So, dengue virus life cycle, here you can see there is a mosquito, okay, and mosquito takes a blood meal from the person with acute dengue, okay, and then there will be extrinsic incubation period where virus infect the midgut of the mosquito, okay, and travels to the salivary gland. Over there it will usually about it takes about 8 to 10 days, okay. Over there they will multiply, these viruses will multiply, and then there will be a when this mosquito will bite another healthy individual, So, one mosquito can infect the several human. That is very interesting to know, right? It's not that one mosquito bite will exhaust that mosquito for the viruses and subsequent infection. But if one mosquito is infected, and if this mosquito bites several human, then this mosquito can infect the dengue virus to all those individuals. Okay. Then there will be intrinsic incubation period and the onset of symptom, which usually takes 4 to 7 days. Okay. So, then this cycle of this virus is completed. Okay. So, there are factors involved in controlling of dengue virus disease response. One is that immune status, as I have explained you. Okay. There is a viral strain, virulence, neutralization, okay, escape mutant, variation in epidemic potential, and increased viral load. Okay. Genetic status, of course, genetic plays a very important role in not only defense, in all aspects. So, genetics is also there. There is another factor which is age. First, dengue virus infection, that will not cause so much severity. Okay. But in sensitized individual, if there is a heterologous dengue virus infection, then that will cause the severity, and that depends on the age. If the individual is very young, or if the patient is very elder, then that will affect quite severely. Okay, the outcomes could be reasonably bad. Okay. Here this is a dengue diagnosis. There are, of course, one can easily detect this virus at initial phase, okay, by simple RT-PCR for viral gene. Generally, people use this NS1 gene, okay. And one can also detect this antibodies, dengue specific antibody, that is IgG and IgM, and here you can see that duration, okay. And in that way one can diagnose the disease, and this is also prognostic marker. When this antibody declines, particularly IgM, then one can say that okay, the individual is recovering. Okay. So, dengue treatment and prevention. So, no, as I told you, for all arboviral infection, there is no specific treatment, and this is true for dengue. Okay. There is no treatment currently available for dengue. Basically, the patient is treated with paracetamol, and which is antipyretic, analgesic, but try to understand there is a limit. The individual cannot receive more amount of drug, even though the symptom is not reducing. Okay. Fluid therapy, since there is a reduce in the volume of blood, so they were given continuously given the fluid, but this is also associated with some problem. Sometimes the individual receive too much fluid, and that is also resulting the problem. Okay. And when they receive intravenously the fluid, then there will be a inflammation of blood vessel due to this catheter. Okay. So, all those things need to be managed. Okay. The prophylactic platelets. So, if platelets are reducing, then one can, and the individual can receive the platelets, and then that can be managed. Okay. If the thrombocytes are quite severely reduced. Okay. And of course, there is a precaution, one should use the net while sleeping, one can use some insect repellent, so and so. Okay. So, there is a huge effort to make the dengue vaccine. There is a live attenuated, there is a subunit, and inactivated vaccine. So, here you can see all these things, but none of them are so far successful. Few were started in order to for trial. However, they show the negative result. Okay, they basically they trigger the antibody dependent enhancement. So currently we don't have a meaningful vaccine against dengue virus. So this is all about the dengue virus, and with this I will stop here, and in next session we will discuss about the Zika virus. Thank you.